Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroladaCom, and today my guest is a friend of mine, fellow astrologer, evolutionary astrologer, Mila. Hello, Mila.
Hello, Lada. Thank you for having me again. It's really nice to be here.
People are asking, they're saying, "Where is my Mila?" I want to take an evolutionary perspective. We need more Mila. And as you know, evolutionary astrology does not focus on world predictions, but it focuses on the spiritual meaning of the lessons that we're going through. And Mila will be focusing today on the Jupiter conjunct Mars and square Saturn, which is happening right now. As you can see, because I love external predictions, we said in July that when Saturn and Jupiter start squaring, there will be financial pullback and correction of prices. And as you can see, the markets are crashing right now because Jupiter is wealth, Saturn is to cut it, to clip it, to restrict it, to correct it in some way. And we also said in the video with Krasi that Jupiter from Gemini and Saturn from Pisces can represent clashes between locals, Gemini, and foreigners or immigrants, Pisces, where Saturn is. And we're seeing it all over the UK. I think you're in the UK now. Hope you're safe there because it's a madhouse there right now. And I don't know if it's just gonna be stay in UK. It might spread because this square will repeat again in December. So this whole period from now till next year, it's over this energy. But we want to know what the spiritual purpose of this is for us personally, and Mila will show us this.
Okay, cool. Would you like me to share the chart so people can
Yes.
have the visual?
And if anyone would like a reading with Mila, her readings are extremely affordable, spiritual, evolutionary astrology. If you like her style, if you feel she's your person, if you connect, she's not just an astrologer, she channels a lot of her information. As you can see, when she starts talking, she's not thinking things are, but she's making sense. It's just words are coming from her and she's like in the zone, basically.
So people need to put it on a slower speed with
Yes,
the, with the YouTube
I've never,
setting.
they said I've never had to put someone on a slow speed. It's the opposite. But Mila is
Yeah,
channeling.
but Mercury has just stationed retrograde, and I had some internet problems, so I might start slower, because Mercury is stationed in retrograde as we're recording this. But anyway, but let's just dive in so we can see this is the chart of the actual conjunction on August 14th. This is for Portsmouth, England, which is where I'm finding myself at the moment, and they conjuncting on 16 degrees 40 minutes. Jupiter is still direct, Mars also. We know that both of them are going to be stationed in retrograde in the upcoming months. Actually, this year Mars is going to station retrograde, and at the beginning of 2024 also Venus is going to station retrograde. So that's going to be very interesting because at the moment these are the rulers of the north and the south node. Venus is the rule of the south node, the one we resolving, and also the last Venus Jupiter conjunction still happened in Taurus under the influence of Venus being the ruler. So now we have the ruler of the North Node conjunct in Jupiter, and Mars currently is in the sign of Gemini, which is all about the choice. And as I've been numerous times mentioning, even throughout our videos, that Mercury is playing this sneaky undercurrent important role because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. Virgo is where Mars was where he became the ruler of the North Node last year, and also we entered this year 2024 with Moon in the sign of Virgo, and Moon is our inner world. It's how our sense of identity and our inner landscape is completely transforming at the moment. And I don't know, obviously I can't speak for other people, but yes, we can see how the world is changing around us at a quite rapid speed, but actually it's even faster how our inner world is shifting, that many people are experiencing this complete transformation with regards to their inner landscape, their inner identity, and we will feel even more of that when Mars actually stations retrograde still in the sign of Leo in December, but will retrograde back into the sign of Cancer. So it's all this reevaluation. We just had the 2 full moons in Capricorn. In between those two was the new moon in Cancer, which we already covered last time. is the identity reset, because the world we see manifested outside this Saturn in Pisces, this is the totality of everything that came before. Saturn in Pisces, currently retrograde, also Neptune as the ruler retrograde. Saturn is going to be retrograde almost throughout the entire Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn. Saturn is going to station direct only a few days before Pluto will move back into Aquarius for the final time. There is a lot of reevaluation, because everything that we see manifesting in our reality, whether it's our own inner world and our own reality as a microcosm, that our own lives, and also the reality of the world that we can see, the global stage, the politics, everything. This is the manifestation of all the thoughts and beliefs thought and believed before. And this is why Mars is in Gemini, because we know that one of the Hermetic principles is that this universe is mental. Everything starts from the thought, you know, everything that we now see manifested and are interacting with, including our external reality, has at some point had been a thought, a belief believed, and that's what then became a reality. So Mars conjuncting Jupiter, and this is the under the influence of both, recently conjuncting Uranus, Mars conjuncting Uranus and Jupiter conjuncting Uranus back in April. There is a new cycle, and Uranus is the ruler of Pluto and will remain the ruler of Pluto until 2043, 2020, 2044, when Pluto will move into Pisces and stay there in 2044. So this is very important, because Uranus is all about innovation. It's all about going forward, going beyond everywhere we've been before. And Uranus currently still is and will remain in the sign of Taurus until on and off 2026. He will have the first ingress into Gemini, again, choice, next year, but then we'll go back into Taurus and will remain there until 2026 again. So, and that same is going to be happening with Saturn, Neptune going into Aries and back and forth until 2026. So what we are experiencing now is kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, where we can feel that there is this new energy, this Pluto in Aquarius as of last year, but especially very potent since this year's Aries eclipse, which happened in a new phase conjunction with North Node. We can feel there is this change coming. We cannot identify it yet. We cannot fully see it. We can actually see in this chart the perfect diode between Pluto, Neptune, and Mercury. Mercury retrograde 0 degrees is Virgo, because Mercury is actually going to move back into the sign of Leo the day later on the 15th. So we can't see. We can't see, because this is all about us as individuals, because Aquarian age is also about individuations, us stepping into our purpose, which is why even now, today, the day after new moon in Leo, we can already feel this energy, because with the new moon in Cancer, there was an identity reset, and with the new moon in Leo, which we just experienced now, yesterday, which was on the opposite numbers as the eclipse, it happened on the 4th of August, 4th, 8, and the eclipse was on the 8th of the 4th, 8th of April. So this has a significance, because there was a reset point during the Aries eclipse, solar eclipse in April, because it happened in a new phase conjunction with the North Node, ruled by Mars at the time in Pisces. Mars was in the Pisces almost throughout the entire Aries season. So this has a significance, because it's saying that the future that we are co-creating will be from with the connection to our higher self, because this is what we also already discussed, especially around Taurus season. The main reason why people feel disempowered is because we are disconnected from our higher self. Because if we actually understood the truth of who we really are, the perception, the Mercury and the Jupiter, the perception of reality was different, then we wouldn't be so afraid. We wouldn't be so divided in a same, because in a sense that we are seeking this connection to the external world, which will never fulfill the sense of void within us, because what we really seeking is this reconnection to our origin, to where we really came from as a spirit, which is why people in a time of crisis reach for some kind of religion, organized religion, or what kind of religion, because it's kind of like a semi what we're looking for. It has some kind of flavor to it, that we want this external power, but actually what we're seeking is the reconnection to our true higher self, which was this Mars in Pisces. And currently Saturn and Neptune going retrograde, and we can see that there is this grand mutable cross. So there is a square, you know, from each side between all of these actors over here.
It's like a big grand square, the moon, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. That's very tense energy, and we're seeing it
Exactly.
already in the world. Markets are crashing, people are fighting, And and there's, as you keep saying about this religion, Saturn in Pisces, it's traditional religions. This is where some of the biggest tension is happening, because I'm watching it. A lot of people going back to traditional Christianity.
Yeah.
We see a lot of celebrities in the last few months with Saturn in Pisces are like baptizing themselves, and the while at the same time the tension is between more fundamental, let's say, religious beliefs, and we're seeing it escalating around the world.
Yes, because people are still trying to maximize of this pattern that we've been conditioned to use, which is externalization of the power. People are trying to still grab on and hold on to something that previously made us feel safe and secure. Cancer, in opposition with the Capricorn, with the Saturn archetype, Capricorn archetype, the year number 8, the year number associated with Saturn and Jupiter, about expansion. So people are grabbing for what used to work in the past, but there was a completely different level of human collective consciousness at the time. Pisces age, the human collective consciousness was very different. No better, worse, just different. And that's why we are reaching for these things that work at the time, but they're not going to have the same soothing influence, because now we are in an age of Aquarius and the energy completely shifted. What is going to take us forward, and that's why these two are conjuncting in Gemini, is making a new choice, with the Mercury being Virgo 0 degrees, the anaretic degrees, 29 degrees, Neptune the anaretic degrees, Pluto 0 degrees, anaretic degrees, is this: we decide, each individual Aquarian individual decides what it is for them, what is the choice they want to make. And there is no right and wrong choice. It's about what is right for the individual, because yes, for some people having this religious crutch is actually what they need, and it's actually helpful to them. For some people it's restrictive. There is no right and wrong. The problem here is where people try to project their beliefs and their thoughts onto someone else, and saying, because I believe this and because I'm thinking this, you have to think and believe the same thing, which again comes from the disconnection. Why would I feel the need to convince someone else of my truth if everybody actually found the peace within of this is who I am, and I am that I am, is the self-acceptance. Also this Virgo archetype trying to heal this sense of the lower vibration of Virgo we've been conditioned by throughout the Pisces age, which was all about this not good enough, guilt, shame, criticism, inferiority, because hurt people. And this is where the unhealed wounding trauma, the Virgo Pisces, these are healing archetypes. They are the embodiment of that which needs healing within the earth, because it's the as above, so below, as within, so without. And this is why we see this crumbling of the structure of the society at the moment, because reaching out for these old tools is not going to work. It is not going to work. It is not going to sustain us on our evolutionary path, because we are not on the same level of consciousness we were throughout Pisces age. The Pisces age is maxed out. It's finished. But what we can see with the 29 degrees Neptune is the totality of the Pisces age. So it's very familiar. So that's why people reaching for the familiarity, for the things that they know, because they go, well, it worked for my ancestors for hundreds of years, so it should be working for me. But it won't necessarily, because we all have changed, we all have evolved. So with these retrograde planets, and also Chiron playing such an important role, making a trine to Sun, and technically Mercury is conjunct Sun already, even though the exact conjunction is not happening until later on. This is supporting us, because Mercury is also retrograde, saying what is stopping us, preventing us from moving into this new direction in this chart. But I mean, obviously this is just for Porsmith, it's not for everyone, is the Sagittarius rising, which is about this expansion, but not getting hung up on it, because if it's erected in different place, the rising would be different. But all that said, with this Mars Jupiter conjunction in a sign of Aries, with the Mercury retrograde on 0 degrees of Virgo, just before moving back into Leo, and then subsequently conjuncting Sun few days later, it's talking about this new direction is through discernment, but not through this, I'm so bad and so imperfect and I need to go and look out to someone else. Mercury is moving back into Leo. It's saying, what is your authentic expression? What is your heart telling you? Where is your joy at? Because what makes somebody else happy is not necessarily going to make you happy, and what is somebody else's unique expression is not going to be the same for you, because we all came here to step into our own purpose. And especially now with this new moon in Leo, it's 11/11 that I'm saying this is crazy, with this new moon in Leo, which is all about this reset of our purpose. Like, we are all invited to step into our purpose, which is what each and every single one of us has a purpose. We all came here to contribute towards co-creation of this new planet, the new earth, this new way of being on this planet. At the same time, of course, we heal in the ancestral pattern, we heal in our past life dynamics, all the rest of it, because it's all part of the same thing, because we are all part of the source, but we are unique expression of the source. So throughout the thousands of years of conditioning, we were being told, well, one size fits all, either through religion, trying to mold people into certain kind of behavior or cultural orientation. And there is no right and wrong. It's just, does this work for me now? There is no right and wrong. Even if it worked for you last year, the question is this still my authentic expression? So this is where we feel so much upheaval, and the external world is just mirroring the internal, because people feel like they're running in circles, like on a hamster wheel. There is this huge energy that wants to be manifest, that is like literally pushing to be birthed, but at the same time, all we can see is the past. So people feel like going crazy, like, how can it be that I feel that there is this massive change coming and ought to be happening, but at the same time, all I can see is the manifestation of the past. And it all starts within. There is no other way. So actually, the fact that this is happening in a masculine sign, in a Gemini, Gemini ruled, Mercury ruled, but Mercury is in the sign of Virgo. But what really has been coming up for me throughout my work is that the way we're going to create this new world, and this, I'm sure people who follow, people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and, people who work with frequency and vibration and quantum physics. And I'm not savvy with quantum physics, so I'm not going to go much into the terminology because I don't know much about it. I'm just saying what came from me through my work is that the way we're going to create this new world, this new reality, will not necessarily be through moving density. The shift has to happen on the quantum level, on the thought level. It's literally, we need to create a new thought to create a new reality, because the reality is created from what we think and what we believe. So us trying to resolve this mess, that the world currently mirrors back to us, because this is how we feel inside. It's like, oh my God, it's such a messy process. It's a birth. It's a messy process. It's bloody, right? But we're not going to change it by applying the same tool of this density. Just like I'm sure I heard it in one of Dr. Joe Dispenza interviews, that if we try to, move density, it's going to take a long time. And we don't have that time. We are in Aquarian age. Uranus is moving into Gemini next year. Saturn, Neptune moving into Aries. We don't have time to now go another 1,000 years trying to fix this mess. No, the way it's going to create the new is we need to shift the way we think. There is no other way, because if we try to think in an old way, which is this like, this division, separation, which again comes from the thought, because I use this example all the time. If you put a black baby, yellow baby, Chinese baby, Muslim baby, Jew baby, it doesn't matter. These kids, they're all gonna play. They're all gonna act the same way. They don't care. They don't yet have the program that tells them you are different and this guy next to you is wrong or less than or more than or anything. They don't care. Even one of my friends posted this stuff from TikTok or something of little kids, 3-year-old, being asked, what makes your friend different from you? And they go, my friend has glasses. They don't see that, this person is a different color or different ethnicity.
They like ice cream,
Yeah.
chocolate ice cream. I like vanilla ice cream.
Exactly. They don't care. They don't care. Oh, my friend's dad is a lawyer and my dad works in a grocery store, or what. They don't care. Kids don't care. And it's all this Leo. We need to go back to this childlike naivete and innocence, because we are so programmed, myself included, to be serious, Capricorn all the time. It has to be hard. You need to work 50 years to have a good retirement and have to sacrifice sacrifice, Pisces age, you know, and this is what we know. This is what we remember, because whether we experience it as an individual in this lifetime, it doesn't matter, because when you poured as a spirit into this physical body, you inherit all of it. It's all in the DNA, it's all in the Akash, it's all everywhere, you know, it's all mixed in the same pot, because whether it was your ancestor that gone through it, or the ancestor lived in a time where the collective experienced that, it is all in the DNA, it is all there. So it doesn't matter whether I personally was burned at the stake or not. I have the memory of that. Whether it really happened to me or not in previous lifetime, who knows? Because it happened at the time when I was incarnated, and it happened to someone, and I feel it. Because this is how we are all connected. There is much more that connects, that separates us. But in order for us to see it, we need to go back. We need to go back to this sextile that is forming between these two and Sun, in conjunction now with this Mercury that is just about to go back into the sign of Leo, which is saying the logical way of thinking and trying to fix this problem by matter moving matter is not going to work. So that's why Mercury is moving back into Leo, and we can see also the in conjunction, blind spot, we can't see it because it's the Aquarian age and it's the totality of the Pisces age. We cannot see how the hell we're gonna move from A to Z, because it's too much. It's too much of a contrast, this new energy, which we cannot see it manifested, and the old energy, which is maxed out. It just doesn't work. So this Mercury going back into the sign of Leo the day later, and then conjuncting the Sun in the sign of Leo, it's saying about, let's try again. Let's go back to who we really are, to the essence of who we are. Because another example, which I tend to use with my clients, is if you look at the television, it's on a mute, and there is a news, and then they show a child, and it's a whatever color child from whatever kind of background and ethnicity, and the child is suffering, your heart responds immediately. You know, there's straight away, even now I can feel the flood of emotions through me. We straight away, the heart responds first. And we know that this is scientifically proven. The heart responds first before the ego and the program gets in, and it tells us stories about, oh yeah, but this person, blah, 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 and story around it. And then we justify it but in our logical mind through our ego and say, okay, that is nothing to do with me, it's separate, you know, because this is what ego does, because they try to, our ego just try to help us to survive, but we need to go beyond that. The ego needs to go on a backseat and allow the higher self, the true essence, the heart, which is the gateway to the higher self, to the soul, the inner child. And this is unhealed at the moment, which is why, you know, with this Mercury going from Virgo back to Leo, it's saying we need to go back. We need to go back to retrieve the lost pieces of our innocence, of this childlike innocence. Because when you see people going to retreat, you know, like, well, you've run retreats, Lada, you know, when you see people going to retreat, it is so much easier for them to reconnect with the childlike innocence. You know, if they say, oh, just roll around on the floor like a kid, or make, you know, angels from snow or something, people will do it. They will not even think twice about it. It's much easier when they're surrounded by Aquarius, you know, people of the same thinking. They're not going to question it and say, oh, isn't that a little bit stupid? Shouldn't I not be doing that as a grown-up, right? It's easier for us to reconnect with the childlike essence, because the inner child lives in each and every single one of us, but it's been suppressed because of this conditioning, of this structure of reality that is now maxed out. It's saying you're not allowed to be a child, you're not allowed to have joy in life and play, because life is hard and it's about suffering and sacrifice, and this is how it is. And it created even more disconnection, more trauma, and that's what we see playing out. Because what we see playing out is the unhealed wounding of the collective that has been embodied by individuals, and it needs resolution. It needs this energy. Energy, as we know, this is again quantum physics, energy cannot be destroyed. It needs to change form. So what we see, this energy, you know, this anger and, you know, this hate and division and all of that, that energy will not go away. It will not just disappear. We need to transmute and transcend that energy. And the only way we can do it is reconnect with that heart. Because if we keep talking to our brain and the ego, it's like, you know, when somebody tries attacking us, straight away it's the ego response, knee-jerk reaction, like we attack back, because it's the ego. So this is nothing going to resolve with that. That's why Mercury is going, as a ruler of Jupiter-Mars conjunction, Mercury is going back to Leo. And this Mars and Jupiter, they are in Gemini, and they're saying we are living at the time of massive expansion. Every single planet that entered Gemini this year made a trine to Pluto first. and leaving Gemini made a square to Neptune, right? So every single planet is, that was the first quarter square apart from Sun, because Sun is special. All the planets leaving Gemini, Mars is still yet to come, made a square to Neptune, and between Neptune and let's say Mercury or Venus, you know, it's a first quarter square. It says crisis in action. Something needs to change. What needs to change is the way we think, is the way we perceive reality. We need to like, you know, I'm sure that you're familiar with the tarot, you know, the card of the strength, when it's the Leo and then the being, you know, over the, you know, the Leo, the Lev, you know, Leon, you know, the animal, and the white being, white clothed, the white clothed being, that's your higher self. The Leo is the physical incarnation, the animal, you know, our animal instinct, the ego, right, that wants to be right, right? But the higher self just tries to tame the beast and say, like, it's okay, you know, like, we are connected, I'll guide you. But the problem is when we stop listening, and how many people can say that, oh, I'm connected to my higher self, I can hear the voice of my heart, my guides, my soul, you know, yeah, I trust, you know, I know you and I had this conversation, I trust to be guided. But how many people can say that? Because we're living in this flight fight response, which is the way this matrix operate at the moment, the program, everywhere you look, every news you watch, anything you read, it's all fight flight response. This stimulates the ego, it stimulates the adrenaline, the anger. So if people don't know, if they don't understand what's happening, and they don't know how to transmute this energy into something creative, because we know fire, you can do a lot of good things with fire. Fire is the purification, is the creation, but it also can burn the cities, right? So it depends how we channel that energy. And with Mercury, with Gemini, it's about the choice. The Gemini is the card number 6 in a tarot, is the lover's card. It says you have a choice. You have a choice to decide what is in your highest and best good for the expansion of your soul. Jupiter in Gemini is all about expansion. It's all about expansion of the story, that we have the opportunity. And it's no coincidence Moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. Moon is our inner world, is in the sign of Sagittarius, ruled by Gemini, conjunct in Mars, and Mercury is in Virgo, 0 degrees, just about to conjunct Sun in Leo. There is no coincidence. And both Saturn, Neptune, retrograde in Pisces, it's saying the world that we see in a total manifestation is maxed out. And I know it sounds very airy fairy and naive for me to say this, but for us to go and fight with one another and point fingers and say, okay, this person has to be killed and this part of the world has to be blown up because that's where all evil lives or whatever, and I heard a lot of stories like this, it is not going to resolve anything, because the energy cannot be destroyed. It will turn up somewhere else. We need to transmute the energy, and it's an inside out process. It cannot happen any other way. It is an inside out process, and it starts from the mind, because the mind, especially our subconscious mind, which is in most cases traumatized because of everything that came before, 29 degrees Neptune, everything that came before lives in your body as a memory of what came before. Because like I said, when the spirit gets poured into the body, the DNA is being passed on. You know, yes, it's much stronger within your own ancestor line, but the ancestor line was a participant of the collective happenings. So it is, everything is connected. So the way we create a new reality is through the inside out process. And that's why we have this mutable square also, because it's saying it's not going to be the same for everyone. It is about mutability, flexibility. It's not going to be one size fits all. It's an Aquarian age. It's going to be, this is what works for me. It might not work for you. I'm happy to share. You need to try it for yourself and discern. Virgo, Venus with Virgo in opposition with Saturn, is about discernment. And Venus is still the rule of South Node. She's going to conjunct South Node again in September. And actually Venus will have 2 conjunctions with Pluto this year. She will make one more conjunction with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius before the end of the year. And Pluto will, as we know, and it's already happening, trining, Pluto is trining the South Node, is already within the degree, as the, you know, currently still ruled by Venus until January. And we know that last year Pluto was squaring the nodes the entire year. We covered it multiple times. Resolution South Node ruled by Venus. It's no longer, we no longer living in a time when you're supposed to be looking up to someone else to tell you what is the right direction, who you are, what is your purpose, and what you should be doing with your life to manifest the life you want. It's a Capricorn. You need to become your own authority, embody the inner authority rather than looking up to external authority. And all these people that are, you know, on the street, they want someone else to fix it. And I understand, because yeah, how can I fix it when I'm not in a charge, right? But you know, it's also like, well, we still externalize our power and want somebody else to be blamed and someone else to fix it, which, you know, this is like, again, it's all inside out process. It's saying like, okay, what can I do to perhaps change something in my life? You know, I cannot change the world, I cannot heal the world. None of us was incarnated to fix the world, none of us. And there is no Jesus, no Allah, no second Buddha coming to fix it for us. This is a co-creation, is an Aquarian age. It's about equality. It's about, we have to do it together. This energy is not going to just disappear, and the new earth is not going to be here tomorrow. You know, no matter how much manifestation you do, it's not going to be here tomorrow. However, you can start bringing the essence, the energy of what you want to experience into your everyday reality based on the choices you're making. Each of us is making. And we have to start from small, from the microcosm, and then eventually, when enough people, apparently 30% is what's needed, will shift the pattern, then the energy will shift. But it is the step-by-step process. Virgo, it's all about learning and adjusting, because we are co-creating a completely different life, completely different world, and completely different way of being and relating to one another. And there is no manual, there is no blueprint, because it's not going to look like anything that happened before, even though there might be similarities, but it's not going to be the same, because you never were who you are today, and you will never be exactly the same who you are today, because this is about Aquarius. It's about the continuous evolution and progress. So yeah, even though we're talking about Jupiter and, you know, Mars conjunction, it is not linear, because everything is impacting everything else, and everything is happening simultaneously, and the new already exists. It's just a matter of enough people to be able to do enough healing and raise their frequency enough to be able to tap into that vision, into that thought that then can become manifest. And that is it's going to be it's going to be a journey. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Fascinating. Thank you,
Would you
Mila.
like to add something, Lada? Or
I don't know. You said everything.
I don't think
Oh,
I
yeah.
said it, but
Yeah, especially the next couple of weeks will be a bit rough with this big squares, but these are all mutable signs where Uranus, where Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and we know mutable signs are about the consciousness level, and the Mercury Jupiter signs are all about what you said, how we think, our higher and lower thinking. So when there is big squares in mutable signs, changes happen faster because mutable signs move faster. It's not, if it was fixed signs, it could feel like a stalemate, like a dead end street with those fixed squares, but it's mutable. So things, you can see how quickly things are moving in the external world right now. The same, like Mila said, will be relevant to mutable signs, to your wiring, inner wiring, your beliefs and your thoughts. That's all about it. So it's the big change.
And we have the grand fire trine. So there is the fire of creation present. It's about the choice. How do we use it? How do we use this energy that is, it's like very good analogy actually that my friend used recently, and I could see it manifested on my doorstep yesterday because I'm cohabiting with people who have children. That energy of the new moon in Leo, and there is such a potent energy that's covered all these portals. We are just about to have 888 portal on Thursday. There are all these very strong energy, especially the children. They can feel it very strongly because they're very attuned. They are very attuned. And it's like when you don't know what you're dealing with, we don't have the Leo under control, the higher self is not present to help, to guide, right, the child, then it might be overwhelming. And this is why some people might just feel like, oh, I just need to break something or destroy, because there's so much energy that is becoming available to us for transmutation. But it really is a choice how we use that energy, like having like for me yesterday, the kids acting out, going crazy, and stuff. And even though it is very destructive, but at the same time I have the inner standing that, okay, I have moon in Cancer, I'm like all over the place because of the new moon. These kids, they are like on steroids, so I'm like, I have the inner standing, there is this energy, and these little beings, they don't know what to do with it. it's too much energy for them. They're little, right? They still don't know, they haven't lived long enough to have this discernment, Virgo, to go like, oh, okay, I understand what's happening, I need to just tune it down or meditate, or go and, I don't know, do kickboxing or running or something. So this is what's happening for people right now. There is all this energy, and if people don't understand what's happening, then they just feel like, I just need to get rid of it, I just need to act out or do something, but actually this energy is available for us to create. What we're going to create and how we're going to use it, that's the choice. That's the Gemini, the choice. And yeah, like you said, it's a very fast moving energy. It's here and then it goes, but also it represents the change of seasons. So we know things are inevitably changing, and they were due anyway, but now in this 8 months, because we are in an 8 year, and especially this 888 portal gateway that is happening, Lion Gates, it is really happening. It is really happening. Like, until this point, yeah, we see a little bit of it happening, and we can see like, oh yeah, we know this change is coming, but it's not quite here yet. It is here. Now it is here. And people are freaking out because they don't know what to do with the energy, because we are not not educated. I don't know if that's the correct word, but it is part of it. We are not raised. We weren't, our generations, all the generation weren't raised in many cases. I'm not saying all cases. Some people already had the the good fortune, or they made a choice prior to incarnation to be born to conscious parents. Many of us weren't. So many of us, they weren't raised in a way like how to deal with your emotions, how to regulate your emotions. We were being told, suppress your emotion, don't even don't have any emotion, or whatever. So we weren't being told, we weren't being taught and shown by an example how to regulate emotions, how to understand our emotions. It's all this, and we're gonna see much more of that when Mars moves into Cancer and then Leo and then go back, right? Because during that entire time, I think it will be like 6 months, Mars will be opposing Pluto, right? It's gonna be like a lot happening, right? So this is our opportunity.
Mars starts its opposition to Pluto right on the elections of the USA.
Oh wow, there you
Opens
go.
up on the 4th of November, and the last one is in April, towards the end of April 2025. But the biggest, most important one is retrograde Mars opposition Pluto in December, towards the 21st of December, or actually no, towards the start of January 2025. So the beginning of January, it might be dangerous time then. There's this violence to explode. And
it's funny because, I told you I just booked flights, and I'm literally flying on the 3rd, arriving on the 4th, and flying back on the 30th of April. 4th of November, 30th of April.
Oh, you're flying on all those days? Exactly. Mars.
I mean, I'm having my Pluto square on the eclipse in Aries, next year. So I'm like, okay, I guess I need to go back to my Pluto line to face my fears and do it anyway. But it is wild. We are living in the wild times. And actually, like I said, with the child, when we have the inner standing, so it's like to take care of your own inner child. This is a very important time for self-care, when people have to, like, nobody taught us, okay? And it's not your fault, it's not my fault. That which we see, the totality of manifestation, is not necessarily anybody's fault, but now it's on our hands to do something. The baton has been passed on, so it's like, okay, it wasn't my fault, I didn't make it happen, I didn't start a fire, right? But now it's up to me what I'm going to do with it, because there is no one else, so like, I mean, we all in this together, and it really is a process from inside out. We need to learn to understand ourselves, understand our emotion, learn to self-regulate and channel the energy in a different way. And the choice is up to each and every single one of us, because like always attract like, the war will never end with another war. The division will never be united by division or something, like it likes attract likes, the same energy will not create the opposite, it will create more of the same. So this is where we are learning. The training wheels are back on, the Capricorn wheels are off, it's saying, no, now you have to be your own authority, you need to decide how you're gonna make your own choices. But the Aquarian wheels are on, the Aquarian age wheels, training wheels are on, because we are like, nobody knows how, we all learning, so we all have to give each other a grace, discernment, grace, and have a compassion and forgiveness for one another, that we are all just like grown-up children that are learning anew, and there is no manual, and we all in this together.
Thank you, Mila. So thank you for giving us this very deep spiritual perspective on this grand mutable cross that is happening. But after all, mutable signs are about improvement. So the final goal is to improve something. You don't have to revolutionize and invent the wheel. You can improve something already existing.
Well, and last thing with cross, because we've seen the two opposition that builds the cross, it is all about neutralization, balancing, that we can see the extremes. So what can I do? Because each of us is I, each of us, I cannot do nothing for you, I cannot do it for you, but I can do it for myself. And then so it goes with each of us. What can I do to neutralize this energy, to try to bring more balance to it? Like for example, like some people do the peaceful protesting, they just say we all human, there is no difference, we are all part of human race or whatever. And again, I'm not trying to be completely naive and say like, oh yeah, we are all just going to resolve the world problem by sitting in circle and singing kumbaya. We are not ready for that just yet. It's going from A to Z. But what can we do? Small steps to bring it a little bit closer to the middle point, because all we can see at the moment is the extremes.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mila. And thank you everyone for joining us. May you have a blessed Jupiter, Mars, square Saturn experience.
And Venus.
The highest expression of it, and Venus. Thank you again. And yeah, if anyone would like to contact Mila, I'll put a link below in the description.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Lada. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.